You know what's one of the funniest things that I heard it from a producer? I'm talking to another producer because I love those conversations.
Yeah.
I'm a hip hop nerd.
Word.
So when it comes to those conversations, I've heard, I can't remember the two producers' names. I think it was like DR. and like Wonder.
Oh, okay.
And they were like, DR. told them, everybody's parents had the same records. You just gotta make songs.
Yeah.
And that's what opened Knife Wonder up to learning how to sample and use Fruity Loops differently than everybody else. In the 90s, sampling became the enemy of hip hop due to the Bad Boy blow up. Bad Boy became known as the Remix Kings, and they overdid the sample.
Exploited the sample.
Horribly, but geniusly as well.
Exactly, yeah.
So let's talk about music from that era before we get into yours. Because yours is a mix of all of this.
Yes.
And that's why I enjoy it so much. When we go to the 90s and hip hop, people really putting money into the game, let's start out west first. Dr.Dre. Dr.Dre is the king of clean drums.
Yes.
Clean. When you listen to his development from NWA and the Posse to the Chronic, it seemed like you're listening to two totally different people.
Right.
My favorite Dr. Dre beat of all time is Approach the Danger. Niggas for life attitude.
Final approach to things.
That's a crazy
No. I agree.
That beat is incredible. And then when you listen to that beat, and then you listen to Nothing But a G Thing, you go, how did he reinvent the wheel?
Yeah.
But it fits the same car.
Right.
How did that affect you, Dre, and his sound, his evolution?
Oh man, just the same thing. Like this guy is, you know, he's got tricks up his sleeve. You know what I mean? He can make a record sound totally different every time he comes out. You know what I mean? So, and you can like mark him, you know, from the NWA days to the, you know, the Dre days, and then to like, you know, what he was doing later in his career with like Eminem and like 50. All those production styles are totally different. You know what I mean? And it's amazing, you know what I mean? He's learned so much in his career just being behind the boards and seeing how engineers work and how to make things really fat and how to make things really clean. Salute. Dr. Dre is...
one of the Quincy Joneses. It's one of, because hip-hop has about, I'm going to ask you about this too. In my belief, hip-hop only has 5 to 10 pure producers.
I agree.
Beat makers.
I agree.
Talk about that.
Producers.
Yeah,
Right.
And one producer I think that doesn't get enough credit, because we're going to stay on the West Coast for a minute, is DJ Quick.
DJ Quick, another one.
And when he went to Death Row, I don't know if Dre was there, but when he went to Death Row, it seemed like his music got more instrumental than beat driven. Because when you think about songs like the one he did with Tony, let's go, let's get down.
Yeah.
And you compare that to Just Like Compton. Once again, totally different sound.
Yeah.
But fits the same car.
Right.
Warren G.
Yep.
DJ Battle Cat. You have what's my man who did the Ice Cube's beats? Sir Jinx.
Okay, yeah.
Once again, like the West Coast took the musical side of hip hop and ran with it because they were funk induced bass beats. Let's compare that to the South. The South still had bass, but they used live instrumentation because the South incorporated the blues. How does jazz and blues create good hip hop music?
Jazz and blues creates good hip hop music because of the timing signatures and the tempos. You know, a lot of jazz records and blues records, a lot of them are improv. So, you know, guys just start getting like a rhythm and they kind of run with it. So it'll be like 20 minutes of just this flow that they got going. You know what I mean? And just a lot of it, I feel, derives from what hip hop is trying to do. You know what I mean? In those tempos and those types of timing signatures.
You know, this is hot though. I remember listening to an interview from 8Ball and MJG. Now, Texas South is way different than Tennessee South.
Absolutely.
Every South state has its own style. But the one thing that they shared that I liked was if you listen to 8 Ball and MJG's first album, On Top of the World, a lot of the songs that you hear, you think that's a beat when that's really somebody on a guitar. And when you listen to Scarface and hear how he plays some of the strings on his own beats,
Yeah.
it really says the East Coast missed something when they took school instrumentation. I mean, I was just playing instruments out of the school system.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because you see where that bluesy sound come from. And blues, I always heard, came from the heart and the soul, not just your mind and your inspiration. Do you find that that's missing in beats today?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Talk about
More people should know. If you're gonna make music, you should know about it. You know, I play drum. I'm a drummer. You know what I mean? I've been playing since I was a kid, so that's just something that comes natural. You know what I mean? Like timing signatures, I know all about that stuff. So if you're gonna make music, you should know something. Like at least notes. You know what is A sharp? You know what I mean? What's the note of A sharp? What's B flat? What's A minor? You know what I mean? You should at least know little bits of these things if you're gonna take on a job like production or something like that, because you know, it all helps. It all ties everything together once you know it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But it's very important thing.
When we look at we're still in the early 90s to 95, 96. Atlanta at that time was still infancy. So I mean, even a little bit before Jermaine Dupri, when we had Straight From the Deck, when we had I forgot the name of that group, because their ramen was way different than today's. Like it was raw, but it was just so, the timing was just different. It was like, I'm hit, and then that was their rhyme. That's a little different. But it didn't have, once again, beat-driven bass music. It had instrumentation. Blues. Compare that to the East Coast, where we're bass-heavy head knockers. But in the East, the sample became the key to 90s hip-hop development. Diddy had I Love the Dough, which is Evelyn Champagne King. Mm-hmm. You had Juicy within Tume.
Yeah.
I mean, Bad Boy actually was the staple of New York. But you also had Q-Tip, who would take mini Ripperton and all types of jazz, funk, blues, and make it a headliner.
Yep.
Define those two sounds in your opinion. The Q-Tip laced East Coast production to the Hitmen of Bad Boy and how they used the sample.
I just feel like Bad Boy was such like a big machine, and like, you know, they were just so big. They probably had so many people and like engineers in there working on a sound, to where Q-Tip was probably by himself with maybe like an engineer and just, you know, coming up with it. So I feel Q-Tip's production was a little more raw, but it still had that good like club feel, like good feel for like a single or something. You know what I mean? Whatever his formula was is amazing. But the Bad Boy kind of like sound is very, very, to me, polished and very well thought of, like how they're gonna go about it. You know what I mean? And you know, that's what makes Puff a genius in himself. So.
Yeah, I think his thing was all making money.
Yeah, exactly. It's a machine. It's a machine.
Dance,
yeah. You're gonna make money. Exactly.
And that's something that I think a lot of people lost when it came to hip hop. Everybody wanted to be killers and be hard.
Right.
And everybody forgot about party
right.
as the 90s went on. But even with that, beautiful music came out of even that understanding. One of the most slept on producers from the East Coast, I think, is Eric Sermon. Eric Sermon makes a lot of good music. It doesn't take him to make the Marvin Gaye music song for people to, you know. Sorry. But Eric Sermon, DJ Scratch, that whole EPMD Hit Squad era.
Yeah.
Their music was hard edged, but it was soul driven. Look at Redman, Parliament Funkadelic, with an East Coast
right.
bananas.
Yeah.
And I think that's what endured New Jersey hip hop to people outside to the West. Because when you hear Snoop use Parliament, it's still funky, still bouncing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they talk about smoking weed and having sex and all that. And it's the same subject matter. But when Redman did it, it was like
it's yeah. Way different. More, you know, a little more colorful than how Snoop would do it in a sense. You know what I mean? But that's the beauty of sampling. You know what I mean? And different producers are gonna do different things and different sounds and different moods, and you know.
So then, come on, now I'm about to flip it.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna talk about the RZA and Kanye because that's too easy.
Right.
Let's flip it now. What makes a beat dope? Rhythm or sound?
To me,
Yes.
rhythms, drums.
Okay.
Because drums is the thing that keeps you. Ooh, I mean, you know, you got. But let me take that back too, because then you have a lot of like, you know, like a West Side Gun record where it's just nothing but a sample loop. You know, a Derringer type production where it's just looping, and that's fresh too. You know what I mean? But you know, I feel like both elements both play a key part in everything. You know what I mean? You can't have one without the other. I mean, you can just have a drum, but that wouldn't be too exciting without a sample in it. You know what I mean? Just a drum. Ah.
So now, when we talk about that, let's just go straight into sound. The Bomb Squad would have masters the sound. I don't know how they got so many samples in one song and just kept it. If you listen to Public Enemy's, what's the song where they got the guy on one speaker, the other one other speaker?
Yeah, everything's all panned out and crazy. Yeah. I know what song you're talking about. Yeah.
Like the Bomb Squad, they would just kill you with just things to listen to.
Yeah.
And the RZA picked that up.
Yes.
Because the RZA would sample a helicopter and put it to a drum pattern and then put music on top of it. It's like, what is that?
Right.
And then he said in Cream, I don't know if you saw this interview, he used 5 different samples to make the cymbal sound. So that the first part, that's 5 samples playing at the same time. So when you look at people using sound and beats or sound and production, sound can hit you, music can move you, but when you hit and move at the same time, you pause. And a lot of people don't have the pause factor anymore.
Right.
What fell out of music? The sound or the rhythm?
The sound. Because like, you know, like that's taking nothing but being creative with 4 different cymbals, which might have been taken, you know, one might have been like a stock 808 Roland sample, one might have been off a record, off a, you know, heavy metal record or whatever, and just taking them together and making it its own individual sound. You know what I mean? Like that's to me the key of hip hop production is being that creative and not just saying like, all right, I got a cymbal, let me just put that on. It's being like, how can I make this its own unique type of sound? You know what I mean? And to me that's everything with hip hop production.
The RZA said in Bring the Ruckus, he put a mic under a bucket and smashed the bucket.
Yeah.
Who would do that?
Genius. And you think of that sound, you think of what that's gonna sound like. That's huge. Oof. You know what I mean? You layer that under like another snare, that's gonna sound huge. You know what I mean? I get his creative process, his mentality. That's, you know, that's how I want to be.
Okay, we'll get to that in a little bit. Let's circle back now because we went to the 90s and then we're talking about the Master P era in 99 now. Yeah. That's when Beats by the Pound came in. Did you like No Limit music? Beats-wise.
The production was good. It was always, you know, consistent production, very, very big production. You know, not my cup of tea, but I respect it, definitely.
My favorite Beats by the Pound beat of all time is Talk It Like I Live It by Fiend.
Fiend was dope.
That song is like, I think that's the best No Limit song he ever had. I don't know about anybody else because I didn't listen to them all, but like I like Mia X.
Yeah.
I mean, they were cool, you know, but I'm into the music right now. And like I said, voices, instruments, bass, sounds, a complete beat. Hip hop today is not about the sound of the music, it's about the sound of the voice. And a lot of people don't have the voice for hip hop anymore. I really don't think so. I think people are more so into finding the dollar sign instead of finding the art.
Oh, sure.
What does finding the art do for you, and how do you keep the art alive?
Keeping the art alive is just being inspired by the art, and you know, kind of putting myself where I was when I was like, you know, 15, 16, listening to these records and keeping that mindset, that mentality. But yeah, it all stems from that. Like keeping the art alive. It's you know, listening to records that inspires me. You know, it's all about staying inspired, man. You know, and that's not an easy thing. That's definitely not an easy thing. That can be lost forever sometimes. People don't get it back. So
there's nothing worse than a burnt out singer.
Oh yeah.
Because then they won't sing at all.
Yeah.
Because they're being jaded.
Yeah.
And when you jade someone's passion, you steal their soul.
Yeah, exactly. You steal their whole life. You know, and that's how it is. Like sometimes, you know, you'll have an artist that comes out, their first couple albums are dope, and then, you know, you don't really hear about them too much, and then they come out with something, you're like, you know, not so great. But you know, it's hard, man, to stay consistent. Some artists can find their way and do it. Some artists can't. But to me, it's all about staying inspired, man. And
so let me ask you this question, and this will be the final question in this
Yeah.
part of the interview. Going back to the 90s and comparing it to today, an album will come out with an album every 2 years.
yeah.
Now we have albums coming out daily, if not every year. Does that hurt the music process?
I think so.
Tell me why.
You're giving the people way too much. So if this guy's coming out with, like, you know, videos every week, consistent music every week, and then, you know, this guy, it's an overabundance of music. We're humans. There's only so much time we can listen to music and be able to listen to music. So appreciate it. Trust me, I have so many albums that I'm dying to get to listen to. I'm just trying to find the time for me to be like, you know, I gotta get my own music done. You know what I mean? Like if I'm in the car ride, I'll put on something that I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to hear this, or, you know, there's just so much music out there, and I wish I could get to it all. Is all of it good? No, but you know, I would like to give everyone their fair here. If you're making something that, you know, that appeals to me, but yeah, there's way too much music out there, man. There's way too many artists. The cream always rises to the top, but it's just getting to that point, and
the industry dead.